To start this game, each player in their first turn is to recite the start verse, which is 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 verse 17, which says, "Pray without ceasing." A correct recital scores 5 marks, and an incorrect recital or skipping the verse doesn't score marks. So we start with player 1. 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 verse 17. Pray without ceasing. So 5 marks. Next, the player is to pick 8 game pieces at random from the game bag and form any word that can be found in the Bible with it. So the word can be formed vertically this way, from top to bottom or bottom to top, horizontally this way, from left to right or right to left, and then diagonally this way, that way, this way, or that way. But I want to stick with the vertical. After you form the word, you tell us where in the Bible this word was used or can be found. So the description or the correct description is worth 1 mark. And then after that, you give us the verse reference of the word that you have formed. Also, a correct reference is 1 mark. So let's go with the description. We can say, "Go to the ant, you sluggard." So that's correct. And then the verse reference is Proverbs chapter 6 verse 6. Next, you shift the word that you formed, and then you recite the verses where your game piece was, or the picture for marks. You have to describe the picture. So a correct recital or a correct picture description is worth 2 marks each. So this is Psalm 23 verse 1, which says, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want." This picture is Jonah and the whale. And this is Colossians chapter 3 verse 2, which says, "Set your mind on things above and not on things on the earth." So this is correct for 2 marks, 2 marks, and 2 marks. So you can get 6 marks from here, added to whatever you have at this stage. So this brings us to the end of player 1's turn for the first round. Now, because player 1 used 3 game pieces, he must go into the game bag and then pick 3 game pieces at random. This is to replace what has been used, because for each turn, each player must ensure that he has 8 game pieces with him. So next, player 2 starts his turn for the first round by reciting the start verse. So 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 verse 17. So pray without ceasing. So he gets 5 marks for that. Now next, he picks 8 game pieces at random from the game bag and forms his word. Now note that from players 2 going, whenever anyone or any player wants to form a word on the board, they do so by adding some or all their letters in their possession to those that are already on the board, and then they can form their word, either vertically, horizontally, or diagonally. So player 2 does so by adding S and O to the end that is already on the board to form the word son. So the description for this is, "For unto us a child is born, and unto us a son is given," which is correct for 1 mark. And then the verse reference is Isaiah chapter 9 verse 6, which is also correct for 1 mark. Now next, he shifts the game pieces he put on the board and then describes the picture. So this is "Pray without ceasing," which is correct for 2 marks. And then also he recites the verse. Matthew chapter 5 verse 8 says, "Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God." That's also correct for 2 marks. So next, he shifts his game pieces back to its position. So this is how player 2 ends his turn for the first round. Now we go to player 3. Player 3 starts by reciting the start verse, 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 verse 17. So pray without ceasing for 5 marks. And then he picks his 8 game pieces at random from the game bag and then forms his word. He forms his word diagonally by placing LE and then D here. So he's formed the word lead. The emphasis is on the word that is being formed by the player, not the other ones it produces. So after he forms his word, he's supposed to give us a description where the word formed was used, and then after, give us the verse reference for the word formed. Next, he shifts the game pieces that he puts there and then recites the verses. Each correct recital is worth 2 marks. So this is Romans chapter 8, verse 31b, which says, if God is for you, who can be against you? Ephesians 6:1 says, children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. And then Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 4 says, hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. So all are correct for 2 marks each. So that's how player 3's 10 for the first round ends. So that brings us to the end of round 1. So at the before the marks are declared, the player or all the players, after whenever they form their words, they must ensure that they pick the number of game pieces that they used on the board from the bag, because for each round they must have 8 game pieces with them. So at the end of the round, the score master must check the marks. If the difference between any 2 players is 10 marks or more, the game can end. Example, if a player has 30 marks and another player has 20 marks and another player has 15, we check the highest and the lowest. So 30 and then 15. So 30 minus 15 is 15. That means that the game can end because it is more than 10 marks. But if the marks are less than 10, maybe a player has 30 and another player has 26 and another one has 22. So 30 being the highest and then 22 being the least. 30 minus 22 is 8. 8 is less than 10. That means that we proceed to the next round. So at the end of each round, the score master must ensure that he checks for the gap difference or the difference in marks, because that's one of the ways that a game can end. Now, whoever gets to 50 marks first in the game wins the game. So in this game, it's either the game marks or the difference in marks are checked at the end of every round, and then if the marks between any 2 players is 10 or more, the game can end, and then we check the marks. Whoever has the highest wins, and then all the other players will pick their positions based on their marks. Or a player gets to 50 first, and then we check the marks for all the players. Whoever has the highest wins, and then all the other players take their positions based on their mark. Now there is a game piece in the bag. It has exclamation, hyphen, and apostrophe. So it can be used to form any word in the Bible that has exclamation, hyphen, or apostrophe. So let me show you how that game can be utilized. If a player wants to form, let's say, Lords, L, maybe he wants to form it vertically from bottom to top. So LORD, and then he can put this game piece down to represent the apostrophe. So this is Lords, after which he will give us a description of the word formed. So he can say Lord's Supper. After that, he gives us a reference for the word Lords. Next, he goes on to shift his game pieces he put there and then recite the verses or describe the pictures for marks. So that's how that game piece can be used. Thank you.